The rain was steady that Tuesday morning, streaking the tall glass panels of Westbridge Academy's main hall like ribbons of silver. Outside, the trimmed hedges and cobblestone driveway gleamed under the drizzle. Inside, the air smelled faintly of lemon polish and old books, the quiet broken only by the occasional squeak of shoes against marble floors. Jacob Thomas was on his knees in front of the main staircase, scrubbing a stubborn scuff mark with the kind of patient persistence that came from years of manual work. His mop bucket was half empty, his uniform a plain navy shirt with "Westbridge Facilities" embroidered over the chest pocket. Jacob wasn't new to hard work. At 38, he'd done everything from construction to warehouse shifts, and though being a janitor wasn't glamorous, it was steady. It was also quiet work, and quiet was something Jacob valued. That is, until the peace shattered with the sound of hurried footsteps and a breathless voice calling, "Mr. Thomas. We've got a situation." Jacob looked up, pushing himself to his feet with a small grunt. It was Lydia, one of the school's receptionists, her short blonde hair plastered slightly from the rain. She clutched a stack of papers to her chest, eyes wide in mild panic. "She's locked herself in the music room again," Lydia said. Jacob didn't need to ask who she was. Isabella Carrington had been the talk of the staff room since his first day 3 weeks ago. 17 years old, daughter of Richard Carrington, the Richard Carrington, millionaire real estate magnate and one of the Academy's most generous donors. Isabella's reputation was as polished as her designer shoes and as sharp as the edge of her tongue. Teachers rotated out of her classes at a remarkable rate, tutors refused to renew contracts, and her file with the school counselor was thicker than most textbooks. Jacob picked up his mop and wrung it out, buying himself a moment. "Did you call the principal?" "Yes, but she's in a meeting with the board. She said to let Isabella cool down, but," Lydia glanced nervously toward the east wing. "The last time we let her cool down, she smashed a violin worth more than my car." Jacob exhaled through his nose. Babysitting the millionaire's daughter was nowhere in his job description. He was here to clean floors, empty trash bins, and occasionally fix a jammed door, not play mediator to a spoiled heiress who thought she ruled the school. But something in Lydia's voice, half pleading, half exasperated, made him lean the mop against the wall. "I'll talk to her," he said. Lydia blinked. "You? Why on earth?" She stopped herself, her gaze softening with relief. "Thank you. Just, be careful." The east wing was quieter than the rest of the school. Jacob's boots echoed against the polished floor as he approached the music room, a grand space with oak-paneled walls and a Steinway grand piano that gleamed under the soft overhead lights. The heavy door was closed, locked from the inside. From behind it came the faint, uneven notes of a piano, hesitant, almost fragile. Not at all the sound Jacob expected from the fiery girl whose voice could cut through a crowd. He knocked lightly. "Miss Carrington?" The music stopped. A pause, then a flat, irritated voice, "Go away." Jacob leaned a shoulder against the doorframe, his tone casual. "Don't want to stay. Just need to get in and clean before the next lesson." "I said go away." He smiled faintly to himself. "Problem is, I can't clean from out here. And my boss likes shiny floors." There was silence for a moment, then a scoff. "You're the janitor. Why do you care?" Jacob didn't flinch at the dismissal. He'd been, just, a lot of things in life, just a laborer, just a temp, just divorced, just scraping by. "Because I don't get paid to stand in hallways," he said, "and because if the next music teacher trips over that mess you've made, I'll be the one getting blamed." Another pause. Then, unexpectedly, the click of the lock. The door opened to reveal Isabella Carrington, arms crossed over a cashmere sweater, eyes like polished glass, cool and unreadable. She was prettier than the gossip made her sound, but her beauty had an edge to it, like a blade you admired from a distance. Her gaze swept over him, taking in the mop bucket, the scuffed work boots, the plain uniform. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice almost bored. Just to clean, Jacob said, stepping inside. The room smelled faintly of dust and perfume. Sheet music was scattered across the floor, some pages crumpled, others torn. The piano bench was pushed back like she'd abandoned it mid-thought. Jacob took in the scene without judgment, setting the bucket near the door. "You play?" he asked, nodding toward the piano. "I used to," she replied, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "Why'd you stop?" Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Why do you care? You're just the janitor." The word slid off him like water on stone. "Because I know what it's like to walk away from something you love," he said simply. Something flickered in her expression, quickly masked. And maybe it's not too late to walk back." Isabella looked at him for a long moment, then moved toward the piano. She rested her fingers lightly on the keys but didn't play. Jacob didn't push. Instead, he crouched to gather the sheet music, smoothing each page before stacking it neatly on the bench. "You know these are upside down, right?" he said lightly. For the briefest second, she almost smiled. "Maybe I like them that way." "Fair enough," he murmured. 10 minutes passed like that, she playing in fits and starts, he working quietly. There was no lecture, no attempt to correct her posture or tell her what she should feel. And maybe that was why, by the time the rain outside had slowed, the tension in her shoulders had eased. When she finished a final, hesitant phrase, the silence that followed wasn't tense. It was, almost comfortable. "You're different," Isabella said at last, not meeting his eyes. "Different how?" "You're not telling me what to do." Jacob shrugged. "Not my job to fix you. I'm just here to listen." She studied him as if trying to decide whether to believe that. Then, with an expression that was almost, though not quite, vulnerable, she asked, "Will you be here tomorrow?" Something in her tone caught him off guard. It was cautious, almost like hope buried under layers of defiance. For a moment, Jacob saw not the notorious Isabella Carrington, but a lonely teenager who had learned to protect herself with sharp edges. And in that instant, she reminded him of Emily, his own daughter, 13 now, living with her mother across town. "Yeah," he said quietly. "I'll be here." He turned back to his mop, but his mind wasn't on the floor anymore. He had no idea why she'd let him in when she'd shut everyone else out. And he couldn't have known that this small exchange, this unlikely truce, was the first thread in something that would unravel everything he thought he knew about her, and about himself.